We often don't realize that we are the key to our own happiness, and that happiness starts with healing and transformation. Whether you need healing, guidance, clarity, understanding, or just some honest sister talk to feel connected, heard, and supported, you are welcome and safe here. So join the conversation and be healed. Welcome to Soul Healing Conversations with your host, Roz Kincaid.
What's up, everybody? Thank you for joining the show today. I'm your host, Roz Kincaid, and you can connect with me at rozkincaid.com or at Soul Healing with Roz on Facebook and on Instagram. So how y'all doing? Y'all all right? I know me, I'm feeling much better. It feels like the energy has shifted and things are feeling much lighter for me. I hope they're feeling much lighter for you too. Before we get into today's topic and introduce our guest, I have to give a shout out, of course, to my sponsor, Shine Coaching and Consulting. Emily is an awesome business coach and an awesome marketing consultant. Plus, she's just good people, and I rock with good people, you know. Also, I want to say a special hello to my listeners all around the U.S. Hope you guys are staying safe and staying well. I also want to say hi to my listeners in China as well as in Ireland. I thank you guys so much for listening. Y'all are making this show a success, and I'm grateful for that. I appreciate it. Keep it up. Keep listening. Share it out. Also, don't forget that I am giving away 4 free distance Reiki sessions this month. To enter to win, you have to go to my website, rozkincaid.com, and fill out that form on my homepage. I'm going to pick a winner each week and announce them on the show. And today I'm going to be announcing today's winner at the end of the show. So stick around and see if it's you. It might be you. You never know. Today is special. Today's very special because I am kicking off my energy healing series. I've been talking a lot about chakras and giving you a little bit of intro information on energy. And now we're going to put that information to good use and talk about how we can use that energy to heal ourselves. So throughout the month of April, I'm going to have some very distinctive guests on my show to talk about energy healing, since we really all could use some these days. Come on, let's not kid ourselves, right? So today I'm going to start the conversation off with Reiki, of course. And so if you follow me for any amount of time on social media, or if you've even went back and listened to my very first episode about my story, you are familiar that Reiki is a large part of my story, and it's been good to me, and it's really, really helped me heal from a lot of my past issues and actually just stuff that's coming up in my adulthood, as well as to transform. And well, my special guest today, she was my first Reiki practitioner, and at one point we thought we were related somewhere down in our family lines. So without further ado, you guys, welcome to the show, Reiki practitioner and award-winning author of In the Shadow of Light, Tracy Causley. Hi, Tracy.
Hey, Roz. It's so good to be here. Thank you for inviting me. This is so important that we talk about this energy healing right now. This time.
Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. I'm so glad to have you. I wouldn't have it any other way. It wasn't going to work any other way if I didn't have you on the show. I credit you with helping me to start down this path. And I said, if I'm going to talk about Reiki, I have to have Tracy Causley on this show.
Well, thank you. There's no other place I'd want to be right now. So I am happy to talk about Reiki.
Yay. So how you doing? How are you in all of this?
I'm actually doing really well.
Yeah?
I mean, the first couple of weeks were a little bit trying, adjusting to this crazy new energy we've got going around the planet. But I would say we've settled in. This past week has been good.
So.
The weather's been pretty good. Getting my exercise in. My dog's a little annoyed that we were walking him so much.
Why this again? I just want to sleep.
But other than that, just keeping busy, writing, doing my own Reiki practice, spending extra time with the family. So we're doing really well here.
Nice. Good. That's good to hear. I think it's going around. I think not only with people practicing social distancing and really paying attention to their lives and their own personal self-care, I think too that the energy has shifted a lot. it's been more accommodating for us to make changes, to see changes. And so it's good to hear that somebody else besides me is feeling the shift as well. So,
Absolutely.
so tell our audience about yourself and talk to them about how you and I met.
Well, I am a Reiki Master practitioner. I learned Reiki way back in 2003. And so I've been practicing on and off for about, 17 years or so. You and I met when I was the owner of Rising Phoenix Holistic Center in Northern Virginia. And I specifically remember the day that you walked in. I remember just kind of looking around and I knew you were going to be my client. And I just saw this look on your face like, I don't know about this. This is my last ditch effort for whatever's going on in my life, but I'm going to give this a go. And so, it was very common and I appreciated that just because I was glad you were willing to give Reiki something new and different a try. And I just remember our session just went awesome. And I think a lot of change, things changed and opened up for you after that.
Absolutely. So let me remind the audience that when I came to Tracy, when I sought her out or when I was seeking out Reiki, period, I was dealing with some fertility issues. My husband and I had tried to have our baby for 3 years straight with no success. And I had, gone through IUI, insemination. It wasn't successful. I was almost at the point of trying acupuncture, but at that point I'm like, okay, I'm about tired of these needles. Let me do something else. And somebody recommended Reiki to me. And I went to the internet and I saw your face, I saw your name, and I don't know what it was. It was something about, I guess, your energy that said to me, she's the one, she's it, go see her. And she's close by and she's 20 minutes away. So I was glad about that.
Well, see, that just goes to show that, energy travels,
Absolutely.
You can feel it anywhere. Yeah.
Absolutely. It'll go wherever it needs to go. And the audience is going to find out that the energy is intelligent. You don't really need to tell it where to go. It knows where to go. It's just as practitioners, it uses us as a conduit. It uses us just to facilitate it. So can you talk a little bit about, a little bit more about your path to becoming a practitioner? How did you find Reiki?
Sure. Well, my whole life, I've been really, really interested in spirituality and spirit in general, metaphysics. I would read anything I possibly could to try to figure it out. When I was young, I started with, why do ghosts exist? And then I got older, religion and astrology and things like that, because I just wanted to know. I wanted to understand. And
right.
When I was getting my master's degree in art history in Savannah College of Art and Design, I needed a part-time job. And, they were kind of hard to come by. And there was this yoga center that was hiring. And I got the job. And soon after, they started talking about this thing called Reiki. And it was kind of difficult because I'd never, ever heard of it. And, they tried to explain it to me. And I thought, oh, well, okay, I'll go for it. I'll give it a try. And it just blew my mind. I mean, I had a major amount of shift happen in my life at that time. And of course, why wouldn't I go through the rest of the workshops after that?
Exactly.
It helped me understand, what the energy body was, how to manage the flow of energy through my body, how important it was that I practice self-care. That was the most important thing I think I really learned out of that. And to, be aware of my surroundings and who I let around me, because that affects my energy.
Oh, yes.
Well. Oh, yes. So that's kind of how that started. And I would say I practiced just on myself for, the following years. I was in the workforce and, stressed with work, and I was a new mom and, all these different things. And I just used it to kind of keep calm, cool, collected. And I would say probably around 2012, I was working full time, but I was really having this draw to share Reiki with other people and be around other people who were practitioners and, doing other types of energy work and things like that.
Right.
And I just started having like little meetups, Reiki shares in my home and my basement.
Really?
And yes, that's how it started.
Oh man.
And then
like, come on over here and get this healing.
Well, because and I think a lot of people experience this. They're not sure if they're doing it sometimes, or they're afraid to share it, or, what have you. And it was just, I realized looking back, it was a way for me to grow my confidence with what I knew already and how to talk about it and how to share it with other people. And then word kind of started to spread and they wanted to learn how to do it. So I did my first classes from my home and my basement. And looking back, I'm like totally mortified, but they went well. But you do what you have
spreading
to do.
The energy, spreading the love,
right? So that went well, and then the next logical step was, why don't you step into making this your primary work? And everything just fell into place. So I left my full-time job. I opened up the place where you and I met, and I saw a lot of clients and I taught a lot of people, and I really grew from that experience. And so I stayed there for a while until it was just time for me to move on to something else. Now I still practice Reiki on myself. I still offer, help clients on occasion, but my primary work now is my writing career, as you had mentioned. So that's where I am right now.
Wow. What a story. I never knew some of those things about you. Like, I just walk in and I meet you and I connect with you, but and didn't really get the backstory. I had no idea that you started teaching and doing Reiki shares at home. Like, and most people, most Reiki practitioners, that's how they get started anyway. They do it in their home because it's most comfortable. It's easy access. But I'm not shocked, but wow. I don't know what to say, but I never knew. That's all I can say. I really never knew.
It's like feeling like you're a little bit afraid to put yourself out there. You're trying to live a double life almost. And this is how it used to be. Maybe some people feel like this, but things like this weren't always accepted as mainstream. And I think they really are now. But it wasn't always accepted as mainstream. So you must have to live two lives, your public, professional life, and then kind of on the side on the weekends you did your Reiki and, you had your meetups and things like that.
Right. It's tough. It's really tough when you strike into this practice. I don't want to call it a business because it's a service, really.
Absolutely a service.
It's a service, and we use, and for all of you who, are curious, we use money as an exchange of energy, People sometimes use Reiki to, to barter other services, but because money is so easily accessible and, most people have access to it, easy access to it, we use money as the exchange of energy. But when you first do this stuff, and you're right, you doing it in your home, you don't know what people are going to think and how your family's going to feel about it. And you kind of just creeping around and like, yeah, I'm going over here, but you really going to doing the Lord's work.
I agree with you on that, definitely.
but that's the thing though. And what I picked up about your story, Tracy, is that you stepped out there when you heard the call to be of more service to your community, to your family, to your friends, to yourself, really. You stepped out there, and Spirit just, opened up the provision for not only for this to be a success, for it to grow and for it to be big. And when it was time to move, it was time to move. And it's that awareness that helps us to transform through Reiki, through other types of energy healing. So
I don't think I would have been able to develop that kind of awareness if I had never learned or decided to try Reiki. I think that's something that's really important, and that anybody, wanting to expand their intuition or their consciousness, I mean, Reiki is a really good starting place for that, because it draws all your energy in. It helps you to become aware of your thoughts, your feelings, your desires, what feels good to you and what doesn't. And being able to be okay with that and sit with that energy. So I really honestly don't think I probably would be where I am on my path if I never did start Reiki or decide to just give it a go.
Wow. Just got to step out there. You got to go with your gut, step out there. You got to follow the pull and just do it. At least find out about it, So before we go to break in a few minutes here, talk about, if you could, for those who are unfamiliar, because I know we've been talking about Reiki a lot so far and kind of in general terms, but could you start to explain what Reiki is and how it works for those who aren't familiar with it?
Sure. Well, in its simplest terms, the word Reiki translates to universal life force energy. You probably heard something similar like prana and yoga or ki or chi. It's the same energy. We all have it. It flows through us. When we are around other people, our energy is flowing back and forth. So it's always moving around. But in Reiki, students learn how to purposefully channel that energy from a much higher, much stronger, much more powerful level. And by doing that, and as you mentioned earlier, being a conduit, it's kind of like being a piece of hollow bamboo. We just let that life force energy that's out there in the universe just kind of pour through us and into either ourselves for self-healing treatment or client. And that energy moves through without needing to be directed. It knows exactly where to go, exactly what to do in order to facilitate that healing. But what it really does is it elevates the strength and the vibrational levels of the energy field. And the energy field includes the chakras, those energy meridians, the aura. And it also really pumps up the immune system and your bodily organs and cells. In the physical body. So that's what it does in big picture. But really, I mean, we're such a stressed group of people on the earth right now.
Understatement.
And,
that is an understatement.
And on its most basic level, Reiki can help deliver an overall calm and sense of balance and well-being in the body, mind, and spirit.
That's right.
That's it. It helps you rest. And when you rest, the body can heal and do what it needs to do on its own.
And so I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. So on a simple, very simple form, that's what Reiki is. And as far as a session usually goes, and I'm talking about as a practitioner working with the client, it's usually performed when the client is laying down on a massage table. But unlike massage, the client is usually fully clothed.
All the time over here.
I always ask that, do I have to strip down?
You wear clothes over here in my
clothes.
sessions. Play that.
And it's just a very gentle laying on of hands on and around the body, most often moving up around the body about 6 to 12 inches even in that aura, that energy field. And just allowing that Reiki energy to pour into the client's body and just help them rest, relax, and really enjoy that sense of well-being. So that's it, Reiki in a nutshell.
Nice. Listen, I had a question for you. We're going to take a quick break.
Okay.
And on the other side of that break, I'm going to ask you this question because you mentioned something about physical healing, but I wanted to ask you about Reiki and emotional healing as well. So when we come back, Tracy and I are going to continue this conversation on Reiki Energy Healing. So don't go anywhere. We'll be back after the break.
Become our friend on Facebook. Post your thoughts about our shows and network on our timeline. Visit facebook.com/Voice America.
You have a passion, and from that passion, you've created a business. But how do you market and grow that business? Hi, I'm Emily of Shine Coaching and Consulting. I specialize in brand identity, website design, marketing consulting, and business coaching. I create a visual expression of my clients' ideas and help them develop a business strategy to meet their goals. Connect with me today at shinecoachingandconsulting.com. Be inspired, be real, be you.
The Voice America Live Events channel is here now to showcase your corporate, individual, or organization's live event. Visit voiceamerica.com/live events to see all of our past live events and find out more. Whether it's a multi-day conference, special speaker, or single-day event, we've got everything to make your event a success. We can do a few hours or a few days. For more information about taking your event to the next level, call Jeff Spinard at 480-294-6417 or email info@voiceamerica.com. Again, that's Jeff Spinard at 480-294-6417 or send us an email to info@voiceamerica.com. Voice America is where you are and where you want to be. Join us around the globe as we broadcast live from some of the most interesting events available. Don't forget to view all our live events, including on-demand access to past events that you may have missed by visiting voiceamerica.com/live events.
Brain-stimulating talk.
Gets those synapses in the brain firing really fast.
All the time. The #1 internet talk station where your opinion counts. VoiceAmerica.com.
You are tuned in to Soul Healing Conversations. If you would like to reach Roz Kincaid or her guest today, please call into the program at 1-866-472-5788. That's 1-866-472-5788. You may also send an email to hello@rozkincaid.com. Now, back to Soul Healing Conversations.
Welcome back, everybody. I am your host, Roz Kincaid, and you are listening to Soul Healing Conversations. You can connect with me at rozkincaid.com or at Soul Healing with Roz on Facebook and Instagram. I am here with my good friend, Reiki practitioner and award-winning author, Tracy Causley, talking all about Reiki Energy Healing. And before the break, Tracy, you were talking about or sharing with the listeners about how Reiki works, how we can benefit from it. And you mentioned in that part of the conversation how when Reiki allows your body to rest, and it also, that rest allows your cells in your body to heal. Can you talk about how that relates to emotional rest, emotional healing? Because I've gotten a few clients coming to me with, they're struggling with panic attacks, and they're struggling with asthma, not being able to sleep. And I'm sure you know that kind of stuff just doesn't happen all of a sudden. That's a buildup of something. How can Reiki help help us getting rest emotionally and healing emotionally?
Sure. Well, as I mentioned, it is a deep, permeating, restful feeling when you are the recipient of a Reiki treatment. And so, what it does is most people who are experiencing emotional traumas or mental traumas, they're caught in fear usually. Or anger is lodged in their energy bodies. Okay. And we talked about the energy bodies being the chakras, the aura, things like that. And so, sometimes people don't even realize they've experienced any kind of trauma. They just think, oh, suddenly I'm having panic attacks. Suddenly I'm not being able to sleep. I don't know what's happened. And they're looking for something in their immediate environment as the root cause of these issues. When really most people, because we haven't been taught how to really manage our emotions and to deal with our emotions, we carry them around like really heavy baggage through our whole lives. And so, they can be little things that have accumulated over time. I mean, we can look at big things, emotional traumas like childhood bullying, abuse, broken hearts in relationships, those sorts of things. Right. I mean, it can even go up to, PTSD in soldiers or, anything like that. Okay. And I've worked with people who have experienced this wide range of emotional trauma too, but they just don't know how to shake it. And so what people usually do is they have this experience and they say, I never want to have this again. And so they try to just bury it, not think about it. And then they kind of reroute their behaviors in order to avoid that thing at all costs. And it's really kind of like having a stone in your shoe. At first, it doesn't really bother you. You can walk a good distance, but eventually it really starts rubbing and then you get a sore and then it's infected. And then what do you do? Okay. So what Reiki can do, and usually it takes definitely a few sessions of Reiki. You're not generally going to just go right to that on the first session. Okay. Usually a person has to go through the process of being able to rest, to relax. And then as you go through a few different Reiki sessions, then you can really dig down to the root of that issue. Because what happens is this mental or these experiences or little traumas that build up, they lodge in the emotional body. And so we want to kind of like gently pull them up. It's like you planted a seed, it's become a weed. We need to pull up the whole thing by the root. And Reiki can do this in a very gentle way. When a person's relaxed, when they're receptive, they can almost intuit what the issue was. They can remember what that inciting incident was that caused them to behave in a certain way. And they can observe it for themselves where that trajectory took them. Okay. And so from that point, I think that's a really important point for them to recognize how it kind of all came to be, because then that's the first step in the healing process. After being able to identify that, they can accept what's happened. They can make changes in their own behavior. They can let go of holding on to all that baggage they've been carrying around. They can forgive if they need to. And then they start to feel whole. They feel lighter. They feel more energized. And they feel like, there's kind of hope on the horizon now. So, there's a lot packed in that. But, people are often surprised that just by resting and letting somebody help flow energy into them, that these things start to bubble to the surface. And by the time somebody comes to Reiki, they're really ready to look at themselves. That's my opinion anyway, or at least the people that I've been able to work with.
Right. It's typically not until it's bad enough that it becomes almost unbearable, or it is unbearable, that you start to seek help. And I would encourage anybody who is not yet at that point, but want to kind of get in front of their challenges or issues, whether they be physical or emotional or even spiritual, to get on a maintenance plan, just like you would take a vitamin every day, or like you are taking your vitamin C, D, zinc, and echinacea, or whatever you're taking right now, to start to get in front of it.
All the things.
All the things. Just chucking them in, right? To add energy healing, Reiki in particular, to your self-care maintenance plan, so that you don't have to find yourself at that point where, okay, it's really, really bad, I really need some help. Don't do like me and wait till you can handle it on your own and then go find somebody to help you.
Right.
Like, get in front of it.
You had mentioned, we're talking about emotional issues, and I think all physical issues really stem from emotional issues. And I'll give you a couple of examples. And again, my client base, I would say, is primarily like 90% female. Okay. So I'm talking about, really experiencing this with women. And there's like 4 primary things, manifestations of this emotional trauma that I really have worked with a lot. And some, the listeners might resonate with some of this too. So I had a lot of women that would come in with thyroid issues, with issues that have to do with their bad pain in their neck and shoulders, lower back pain, and chronic fatigue. Okay.
Wow.
And so, it almost inevitably, every single time when somebody said, I'm having trouble with my thyroid medication, I just quite can't, get my medications worked out. What ended up happening was the message, or the trauma, was them not being able to speak their truth. They feel like they weren't able to ask people for help. They're just overwhelmed, and they felt like they were just kind of all by themselves, and nobody was listening to them when they spoke. And so there was just becoming like this manifestation in the throat chakra, and primarily manifesting in the thyroid. I know I experienced this too for a long time, until I recognized what it was. Constant, perpetual shoulder and neck pain.
Oh yeah. All the time. All the time. Right now, matter of fact.
And I'll never forget, somebody said to me, "Why are you shooting on yourself?" I'm like, "Shooting? What do you mean?" Well, and I realized maybe I kept saying to myself, well, maybe I should be better. Maybe I should be a better student, but I'm not the mom that's like the Pinterest mom up the street. I should be better. I was always kind of comparing myself to what other people were doing instead of doing my own thing. And it was really becoming a burden on me. So that was kind of another thing too. Go ahead.
So, okay, pause. So what I just heard you say is that we, mostly women, and I'm not excluding men either, but we collectively, we pile this heaviness, this energy onto our own shoulders by setting expectations of ourselves, I guess, rooted in what we see other people doing. And that causes this tension and tightness in and around our shoulders and neck. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Did y'all hear that?
That was a very good way to explain it. And it could start when you're young, you never know. Maybe it could be that your parents were always complimenting that girl, that kid. Oh, look at Sally. She's so smart and pretty and all these different things. Oh, Tracy, you should be more like her. Or, you know what I mean? And it could start like that. You know what I mean? And then develop over time. And so you're always feeling a little self-conscious. You feel like you should be more like that person across the street.
Right.
But you really just want to be yourself. And so there's that resistance that gathers in your neck and shoulders.
Wow.
Okay, so that's an explanation for that. And that's just something it's very common. And so when I start to, I've let go of that. I don't experience that anymore, but every now and then I'll get the twinge and I'll say, okay, where am I comparing or what am I shouldering?
Wow.
Or think I should be doing that maybe I'm not. So so that's a really, really big one. Lower back pain is extremely common. I mean, I think that could go across the board,
right,
with males and females. And that's just really not feeling supported by family or loved ones or people very close to you. Trying to do it all yourself. And then lastly, another big one that I see a lot of is chronic fatigue syndromes. And the like. And, that really comes from people not allowing themselves to rest. Your body has to have rest, and really good deep rest, including sleep. And sometimes just, spending the weekend vegging and watching all of Netflix.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. Now, if you start to do that stuff in excess,
there's nothing wrong with that. But, I think, it just comes back to remind yourself that we're human beings. Sometimes we just want to be. We want to just be on the couch. We just want to relax, instead of human doings. We're always having to do things. And I know, a lot of women always feel like they have to be busy, show that, their value in doing and doing it perfectly. And so it causes a lot of stress, not sleeping, insomnia, and just ultimate fatigue. And then it manifests in these types of diseases.
And so I was going to say, and so what Reiki can help do is you can introduce Reiki as part of your self-care to come in and ease that, to move that energy off. And sometimes Reiki, I'm sure you've experienced in your practice too, Tracy, is that getting Reiki or performing Reiki can actually start to stir things up so that they can move up and move out and off of your energy or out of your energy. And sometimes I've seen it happen to where the energy healing will cause people to become more aware of things so that they can actually do the work. And I'm not talking about just Reiki, getting Reiki treatments or just doing meditations, but doing the hard work to get in counseling, talk to somebody, have conversations with, people, set boundaries, stuff like that. So I've seen Reiki, kind of initiate more healing to be done in different types of ways.
It's a springboard. It's absolutely a springboard. Yeah, and it's a recognition. I mean, you're having this experience, the idea or the thought, the intuitive spark comes to you and it's saying, hey, this is it. This is what the issue is. Now take action. And that could be saying to your husband or significant other, I really need you to listen to what I have to say. I feel like my voice isn't heard, and start to speak up. Or it could be, I need to speak to somebody, a counselor, or get yourself out of a relationship. I mean, it really brings it right in front of your face. And then it's up to you to take the ball and run with it.
Yes.
It can't do everything for you, but it can show you, and it can help alleviate the pain that you might be experiencing, physical, mental, emotional, that's blocking you from hearing or sensing or feeling your own intuition. And we all have intuition, and that tells us what we need to do and how to do it and what's best for us.
Right. Wow.
So.
I love Reiki. I love talking about it with you. I'm telling you, man. You know what? I didn't really. I think for me, the spiritual piece of it, the spiritual growth and the spiritual awakening from Reiki. And before I get into that, let me just explain real quick for the people listening that with Reiki, and feel free to chime in too, Tracy. With Reiki, there are when practitioners sit down and learn Reiki, we are learning Reiki at 3 different levels. We're learning Reiki at level 1, which focuses on the physical healing. We're learning Reiki at level 2, which focuses on emotional. And I would kind of say sometimes mental as well. And and then there's level 3, where you are focusing more on your spiritual connection and your spiritual growth that can heal like some of that past life stuff.
Yeah, I think in the Reiki too is the mental, emotional, and distance healing, right?
Yes.
So that's really important, especially right now since we're all at home.
Right.
But we do learn Reiki primarily in 3 different workshops. And that's the way I've always taught it. That's the way I was learned. I learned, and I think that you can learn it very, very quickly. It's an easy thing to learn, very easy, and it can almost be deceiving with its simplicity.
Right.
So don't let that fool you. Just like a hammer, it looks really simple, but you can really do some damage with that thing.
Oh, that's right.
So I think that, Reiki 1 and the way that I would usually teach it is, I'm a historian by nature. I think it's good to know where things come from and how they evolved. And so I always talk a little bit about the history of Reiki. I come from Usui lineage, Reiki practice, and which comes from Japan. And I you should at least know the 3 primary people that made it possible for you to learn Reiki here in the West. And that's Dr. Usui and Dr. Hayashi and Mrs. Takata. Those are 3 people. That's right. And so in Reiki 1, you're also learning about the energy body and how it all works together. Your chakras and your energy. I call it the energy highway, the meridians through your body.
Right.
The principles of Reiki, even. Did you learn that as well too? The principles of Reiki?
Yeah. I think I learned the same as you. I learned the history with Usui, Hayashi, and Takata. I learned the 3 principles. I had to go and practice on myself for a certain amount of time. Like, I couldn't practice on nobody. I had to get myself together first. I had to be my own first client. All of that. You and I followed pretty much the same track. Yeah, I'm from the school of Usui myself.
Yeah,
it's important to be able to
help anybody unless you can help yourself. I always tell my students, and I try to remind myself, it's just like if you were to get on an airplane, and nobody's on an airplane right now, but if you were on an airplane, the stewardess would tell you that if there were loss of pressure in the cabin, that your oxygen mask would come down. And what would you need to do? Put yours on first before you can help anybody else.
That's right. You have to. We're gonna take another quick break. And when we come back, I want to get into a little bit of the spiritual piece about it, as well as talk a little bit about the distance Reiki, since pretty much is what we're all offering these days. So after we come back, we're gonna pick up the conversation. So you guys don't move. We're coming right back after this break.
Become our friend on Facebook. Post your thoughts about our shows and network on our timeline. Visit facebook.com/Voice America.
You have a passion, and from that passion, you've created a business. But how do you market and grow that business? Hi, I'm Emily of Shine Coaching and Consulting. I specialize in brand identity, website design, marketing consulting, and business coaching. I create a visual expression of my clients' ideas and help them develop a business strategy to meet their goals. Connect with me today at shinecoachingandconsulting.com. Be inspired, be real, be you.
Have you had a chance to check out Voice America's online magazine and blog? If you love our hosts and shows, check out articles that give an even deeper perspective, plus topics about health and fitness, movie reviews, philosophy, business tips and tactics, spirituality, positive thought, current events, and even more about your favorite host. It's just a click away at blog.voiceamerica.com. That's blog.voiceamerica.com. The Voice America Press Blog. All access, all the time. Follow the Voice America Variety channel on Twitter. Our hosts always have something to say, and we know that you do too. We tweet on today's hot topics, and you're welcome to follow us. Speak up and join in at Voice AM Variety. That's at Voice AM Variety.
You are tuned in to Soul Healing Conversations. If you would like to reach Roz Kincaid or her guest today, please call into the program at 1-866-472-5788. That's 1-866-472-5788. You may also send an email to hello@rozkincaid.com. Now, back to Soul Healing Conversations.
All right, everybody, welcome back. I'm your host, Roz Kincaid, and you are listening to Soul Healing Conversations. Once again, you can connect with me at rozkincaid.com or at Soul Healing with Roz on Facebook and Instagram. Before we jump back in, I want to give another special thank you to my sponsor, Emily Stout at Shine Coaching and Consulting. Again, I'm here with my guest and my friend Tracy Causley talking about all things Reiki. Now, before the break, Tracy, you and I were talking about some of the emotional effects or some of the benefits that we can get from Reiki that can help give us some emotional rest and some emotional healing. But over the break, you and I kind of started to get into how Reiki can start to affect us on a spiritual level, as well as how we practitioners can use Reiki from a distance to even still send energy healing across time, across location, all of that. But I know for me, I have experienced a good amount. And I'm not there all the way. I'm not 100%, but I've experienced a good amount of spiritual growth, and it's helped me along my spiritual awakening just from practicing Reiki, but also receiving Reiki. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Right. I agree. I've had the same exact experiences. Reiki, it is, well, first of all, let me just say, it has nothing to do with religion. I get that a lot in the early days. Do I have to be a practitioner of a certain religion or something like that to work with Reiki? And the answer is no. Reiki is totally non-denominational. You could practice any religion or none at all, but you can still benefit from Reiki. And when you do decide to give Reiki a try, it can support your spiritual growth and awakening because it helps you to cultivate a deeper connection with yourself. Firstly, your body, tuning into how it feels, what it wants to eat, what is not good for it anymore. That's just the basic. A lot of us, we just don't listen. We just feed ourselves and we're wondering why we're not losing weight and all this kind of stuff. Maybe we've had one too many glasses of wine. We need to pare back on that. Just getting in your body and feeling and listening is one of the first things. We have to do that. But from that, we start to tap into our feelings, our emotions, our desires, what we're really wanting out of life. And that all comes from the intuition. That's all intuition. That's the guidance that, our true deepest guidance that's coming through us. And that's because we've aligned our body, mind, and spirit through the practice of Reiki. And so naturally, our intuition is enhanced. So that's just kind of been my experience, accessing that higher consciousness. I find that I'm always having, I love being able to do Reiki for myself, but I really like doing it with other people.
Yes.
Like the cool thing about Reiki is it's not you as a person. There are some practices out there, healing practices, that the practitioner is giving away their own life force energy. That is not happening in Reiki.
Right.
It's coming through us. We're sharing that experience with the client. And it's like together you're accessing this collective consciousness. And so anytime I work for the client and something's coming up for them, I think, you know what, the reason this person is here is because there's something that I need to look at myself. It's like a mirror, right? So have you had that same experience too?
Absolutely. 9 times out of 10, people that come through my door sit across from me in the chairs in my office, or I look at them over Zoom these days. There's always something that I can identify with them that they're struggling with. and not just for me to say, hey, I feel you, I see you, I know what you're going through. But no, that to me says that, okay, I might need a little more work myself in this area. Yeah. Share your experience with your client, but also I have to take a look inward to see and check myself and say, hey, I might need a touch over here.
That's right. It's like talking to the man in the mirror,
Yes.
I many times that's happened for me. So, I feel like, those insights, they definitely come from within, but you're also receiving it from that highest spiritual source, whatever you want to call that, love, universe, whatever. It's up to you. But when you receive that, there's this deep knowing, and it just kind of floods your system, and you're onto something, and you can make that change, and you're on the right path, and the step to take. There's just a glorious feeling about it. So.
You know what else I've noticed since having been doing Reiki and getting more Reiki done on me is that I have become more, how can I say it? I've become more accepting of who I am, who other people are. I still struggle sometimes with the whole comparison and judgment, and because that's programming. That stuff don't go away overnight. But I tell you that it's been less palatable with me because I've been working. I've been getting Reiki energy practiced on me, and I go in. Probably I try to get in once a month, but it's something about from a spiritual perspective that I don't buy into religious rules and stuff. I'm more about spirituality. I'm more about connection because that's, to me, that's what matters for me. That's what I resonate with the most. And I will attribute that to having been involved with Reiki around it, sharing and sharing with other people, like the gift, receiving it, all of it, just healing in general. I mean, Reiki is only one way of many to do it, but I'm telling you, it's very profound. It's very effective. So effective, like we were saying earlier, it can travel across time, space, distance, everything. The energy knows where to go. And so, a lot of practitioners have been offering distance Reiki these days to, still service their clients because they know people are still in need. And I know that there's some skepticism about distance Reiki, especially if you've never had Reiki before, if you have, or you don't have it very often. Can you explain how distance Reiki works and how people can benefit from it during this time?
Sure. I think it's okay to be skeptical about distance Reiki because I know I was too.
Me too. But I was like, oh no.
I'll admit it, I was too. I was like, this is no possible way this can work. But then again, there were a lot of things I didn't know about life.
Exactly.
So essentially distance Reiki or remote healing can be done from, say, just across a room or across the world. In Reiki level 2, a practitioner learns to send Reiki energy across time and space. And because energy is everything and everything is energy, we can connect energetically via our thoughts and feelings with anyone, anytime, anywhere around the world. Okay. And so a great example of that is, thinking about a friend or a family member you haven't seen or talked to in a really long time. And then suddenly they call you or you bump into them in the grocery store. That's always kind of weird, but you wonder, how does that happen? I was just thinking of you. Well, because there was an energetic connection that is never severed and we are all connected. I know that's kind of sounds like a cliche, but we really truly are. We're energy and we're connected with people all over the world. That's why when things are happening in New York and Italy right now and all this trauma, we're really feeling it too.
Yeah.
Okay. So there is that connection there, and anybody can send love and light and chi. They can send healing energy. It might not be as powerful as, say, a Reiki Master or something like that right now, but you do have the ability through your focus and in your intention to send healing to anyone, anywhere around the world. So it's really quite simple. All you have to do is just have the intention to do it. If it helps, you just, grab a photograph of somebody that, you want to connect with, or you can connect via Zoom. That connection is there. But you don't need that. Just your intention, that person's image or, name in your mind and just your focus, and you're doing it.
I'm telling you, the power of thought and intention is enough to heal, to break, to loosen, to anything, to change, to transform. And I like what you said is that, you don't need, like, people don't need like I'm not gonna say don't need a license, but if you want your inner healing to be strong and powerful, yes, I recommend you learn Reiki, get attuned, do what you need to do, become a master if you so choose to, if you feel like you need to. But that stuff is not required.
It's
like
not
you,
required.
there is no requirement to send love. All you need to do is put it in your intention, put it in your thoughts, and send it on to the person that you need. It's almost like telling somebody, my thoughts are with you, condolences, peace and love. I mean, that's one form of doing it. I mean, it's not simple. I think people make it too complicated.
I think, and that's exactly right. And Reiki doesn't seem very complicated. And so people think this couldn't possibly work.
It works.
But it absolutely does work. And, you really can feel it. That recipient really can feel it, and I imagine that, a lot of Reiki practitioners are really working overtime, sending their distance Reiki to these, medical practitioners on the front lines, just dealing with, illness and death. I mean, coming out from every angle. So if they're not already and you're out there and you hear this, please give it a try.
Please do.
I think we'd all use a little bit of that.
Right. Let's support each other, let's support each other. Let's support the people who are, trying to keep us safe, trying to keep us well. And, do what we can to support, collective healing all together. So
Absolutely.
we have a few minutes before we have to wrap the show, girl. We could listen long after this show is over. Me and Tracy can be talking about this probably till tomorrow, but we got stuff to do. We got families to tend to. So listen, Tracy, I want to thank you so much for being on the show today and for sharing your knowledge and your experience about Reiki with us. I'm truly grateful to have you be part of my journey and just have you a part of this conversation and kind of help enlighten the people. So let us tell our listeners how they can reach you after today's show.
Well, first, let me tell you, this has been an honor and a privilege. I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of this show. I think it's an awesome, amazing thing. And I know it's gonna be great. You can reach me on my website, tracycausley.com. That's Tracy with a CY. And I think the other details are on your website,
yes.
tracycausley.com. Or you can email me at tracy@tracycausley.com. If you have questions about Reiki or anything like that, I'll be happy to answer and tell you what I know.
Perfect. All right, y'all. It is time for me to give away a free distance Reiki session. So let me pull my little bowl out and dig out a name.
It's exciting.
Drum roll. So this week's winner is Hezekiah Badeau. Hezekiah, congratulations. You won, bro. I'm going to be contacting you, Hezekiah, very soon to schedule your session. Congratulations again, and I will be talking to you soon. So listen, everybody, if you didn't win today, that's all right. Just make sure you go to my website, rozkincaid.com, to enter to win. I'll announce another winner next week at the end of the show, so make sure you tune in. And as a consolation to those who entered but didn't win today, I am going to do a collective distance Reiki energy healing for you this week. So everybody gets something, right? So I want to thank you all for joining the conversation today. I really do hope that this conversation between me and Tracy inspired you all to give Reiki a try and find the healing that you feel like you need. Find the support you feel like you need. There's a lot of great benefits to just laying down and resting. I think that, collectively, this is what coronavirus is blessing us with. I mean, I'm not cupcaking it. I'm not ignoring the fact that people are really suffering financially and physically and mentally and emotionally, but we're also getting some really good things out of this too. And so I feel like if we just slow down for a minute, and take inventory of the things that we do have and things that we are grateful for, we're gonna be all right. We'll be all right. So let's keep the conversation going on Facebook and Instagram at Soul Healing with Roz. Talk to me. Share your thoughts with me or experience with Reiki. And like Tracy, if you have any questions about Reiki or you would like to work with me one-on-one, you can book a session with me at rozkincaid.com. And listen, join me next week for another conversation. I'll continue this energy healing series with a conversation with Uma Alexandra B. Pat on Access Bars. You don't want to miss it. Until then, you guys stay safe, be well, take care of yourselves, rest. Bye, everybody.
Thank you again for listening to Soul Healing Conversations. Please join Roz Kincaid again for another program next Wednesday at 12 noon Pacific Time and 3 p.m. Eastern Time on the Voice America Variety Channel. We'll talk again next week.